So when you start to make your listing, you want to, first of all, you want to have really good photos, good lighting, all of that. The photographer should know how to do that for you. Um, you want to make sure you have a good title. Uh, of course, the first like few words is like the most important for your title. Um, you want to be as descriptive as possible. You don't want to really just like cozy, you know, house or some. I know some people like to make up names and like uh they just make up random names to name their Airbnb, but like it doesn't mean anything to people. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't help them at all, right? Like um, so just be descriptive instead of making a random name. Um, so when you look at this title, you know it's Central Salt Lake City apartment. Okay, it has a king bed, has a gym, has a smart TV, etc. So just from the title, right off the bat, people more or less have an idea of what the apartment is like. What the apartment is like, where the apartment is, size of the bed, etc. Right? So for the rest of it, you also want to you don't want to make the mistake that I did when I first did my Airbnbs. I kind of just like was writing little blurbs, little paragraphs, little essays, and I actually paid a guy a lot of money to help me fix one of my listings. And he used to work at Airbnb, and so he's very familiar with how to optimize your listing. So you want to make things kind of like short and concise and organized in a format that's easy for people to read, because people hate reading, especially if it's just like a bunch of words and a bunch of sentences put together. So here, you know very important things, right, about the space. Walk square, right? You could have little bullet points, little emojis, make it stand out a bit. I think in some of my listings, actually, I have like a person walking emoji, have like a bus emoji, um, a bicycle emoji. So you can take your time, go through all of that and make it a little more creative. Um, so walk score, this is very important. You can find your walk score just by I think it's a website, walkscore.com. Put in an address and they'll give you the walk score. So the higher the walk score, the better it is. People can just walk to a lot of places from your Airbnb. Transit score 65, bike score 93. You want to describe what kind of bed they're going to be sleeping on. That's one of the most important things, right? You have some guests who like hard bed. You have some guests that like soft bed. So you're not going to be able to please everyone, but like generally speaking, more or less, you want to have like a comfortable soft bed, and at least you want to have it in the description what kind of bed it is. So this way, if people do like a hard bed, then this might not be for them, right? Has a gym, smart TV, um, size of the TV, what capabilities it has. It has, 65-inch smart TV. I have two TVs, one in the bedroom, one in the living room. Um, not necessarily need you don't necessarily need a TV in the bedroom, but it's nice to have, right? People like to lay in bed and watch TV. So Netflix, they need their own account to log on to, but it's Netflix capable, fully equipped in stock kitchen. They have everything in there that they need to cook, make food. Is there parking? Is it paid? Is it free? It says paid, but apparently I still have once in a while I get some special people that say like, hey, it says paid, that means it's paid already, why are you charging me again for parking? And I'm like, so if I put free, then what does that mean then? So I guess maybe you could be more descriptive if you want, like, for how much, right? Parking for a fee. um I don't like to include it. I like to upsell, and that's like additional revenue. I usually charge $15 a night. And that adds up. I have like 20 units. And if everyone needs parking, $15 a night, it adds up. Does it have washer and dryer? This is also very important. We usually try to find units that have washer and dryer inside the unit, okay? And then you also maybe want to kind of like explore a little bit, Google it, just type into Google Maps where some things are. How far is it from a convention center? How far is it from a hospital? How far is it from a sports arena or stadium? How far is it from the airport, right? So these are just some basic details and facts that might be useful to your guests, and kind of let them know too if, hey, I have other units in the building. Maybe they're traveling in a group. There is a company business trip. They're coming for a conference. I have had people message me before and say like, hey, I saw you have other units in the building. Can you send me the listing? And I got more bookings that way. And I think one of my, well, either me or one of my assistants, we have this written in there twice, so we'll go in there and delete it. You could talk about the space, where it is, how far it is from places. Um, you could talk about your amenities. This place doesn't have a pool or hot tub. Some of the other buildings I have, they do. We already talked about the gym and stuff. Uh, you could talk about how many guests it can fit, and you might want to throw an airbed in there so you can. I For a one bedroom apartment, I charge people after two guests. So if they want someone to sleep on the couch, they want someone to sleep on the airbed, they want the linens and pillows set up for them. I usually charge them like, I think, $30 a person per night. So that's also additional revenue. It these little things kind of add up. Um, you talk about what the guests can have access to, pretty much the whole apartment except for the locked storage. I also let them know, hey, message us for early check-in, late checkout. We'll try our best to accommodate. When they message us, we'll ask the cleaners if they can do it. If it fits their schedule, and we always charge for early check-in, late checkout. Or at least we try to charge. If it's like 1 hour, I'll usually charge like $35. If it's like 2 or 3 hours, $50. If people complain it's too expensive, I will ask, what about if I cover half of the fee for you? This way you can still get something. And if they still say like, oh no, I'll just wait, then I'll go, oh, okay, no problem. I already let the cleaner know that you want to check in early. I'll cover the whole fee for you. You can just check in early or check out late, because you want to make extra money. So you want to upsell them, but if they're willing to pay for it, that's great. But if they're not, or you think if they feel like it's expensive, you can try to get some. You cover half of it. But if they're just not willing to pay, sometimes they complain, or they just say, "Oh, I'll just go walk around. I'll go kill time, or I'll just wait until 4 p.m., which is the regular check-in time." I will go ahead and say like, hey, I'll cover the fee for you. Because at that point, you already know you can't get that extra fee from them, and you already let the cleaners know. The cleaners already said yes, they can check in early. So why not provide that extra customer service? They feel extra good about it. They feel happy about it, and then more likely they'll leave you a 5-star review. Yeah, we talked about the parking already. So yeah, pretty much, for your listings, like I said, just try to fill in as many things as you can. Um, there's actually a lot more once you start going through and creating the listing. You'll see like all the amenities you need to check off, all the different things, if you allow pets, this and that. So just make sure you fill it up as much as you can. There's also a section in Airbnb that like tells you how much like how well your listing is like completed, and if you can do any changes. So let me see where we're at, almost 10 minutes. So really quick, I'll just show you guys. You can go to You can go to insights. Insights, you can go to opportunity. So it says there's 10% of your opportunities haven't been completed. So that means there's just like some stuff that you can still do. So if you add a crib, it'll complete this. If you highlight some free parking, if you allow pets, if the building allow pets, we allow pets. We also charge extra for pets, $25 a night per pet per night. Um, let the guests stay for short stays. I let them to stay, minimum one night, maximum, you know, 6 months, whatever. They can stay a year if they want to. So, guests can also do the longer stays. Always turn on instant book. Uh, it helps you get more bookings. It pushes you up in the algorithm. Um, Airbnb likes that. So yeah, here's just all the things that you should fill out. Try not to block off too many dates. The availability window. Some people like to block off their whole calendar and just leave the next like 3 months open, but apparently Airbnb's algorithm likes it when you have the next year open, right? You could apply some early bird discounts. If this is a new listing, you could have the new listing promo, which is like 20% off on your first 3 guests. So this is very important. You want to have that promo for the first 3 guests so that you can get 3 guests in there quickly and get 3 5-star reviews in there quickly, because you Airbnb doesn't show your rating until you get at least 3 reviews. If you get 1 or 2, the rating doesn't show up. But you do not want someone to get 20% off for next month or 2 months later or 3 months down the road, and especially on like a high season or like say like a weekend or like a special event or a holiday, because like you're giving that 20% so that you could get some reviews very quickly for a new listing. It kind of doesn't really do you any justice if they're using that 20% for 3 months later. And that is a mistake that I did when I first started off. I didn't block off the dates, and people were getting a really good price during my high season, which was like in Austin, was a F1 weekend. That's like when you could charge the most throughout for the whole year. That's when you could charge the most. And so make sure when you turn on your new listing discount, you also block off your whole calendar and leave only open the next 2 to 3 weeks. I would say 2, but if you want, you could leave open the next 3 weeks, preferably 2. So this way, only the next 2 weeks are open, and then um only people who are gonna be staying in the near future can use that 20% discount, and hopefully they'll be leaving you a good review. You might also consider doing like a max stay. Maybe you don't want someone staying 1 week or 2 weeks and using 20%, because now they're having a long stay and you're only getting 1 review for it. And maybe for that long stay, 20% on a long stay is a lot of money, right? Um, so you definitely don't want people doing that. So you can consider doing like 2 or 3 day max, or if you don't care, that's fine. Um, and when you first list, you might also want to turn off your instant book, because this is your first time. You're a newbie. You probably forgot to click off one of these things. Your pricing is probably off. You left out something, and you probably forgot to add a cleaning fee. I know I did that. Um, so you definitely want to leave the instant book off for your first few bookings, or at least for your first booking, until you know everything is properly set up, because you don't want people to come and instant book your place when you weren't ready, or you were making mistakes for your first listing. And now, for example, say you forgot to add your cleaning fee. Sometimes I charge like $50, $100 for a cleaning fee. I forgot to add that. Now I have someone booking my place for one night, and no cleaning fee, and a lot of times we include the cleaning fee as a part of the rate. So maybe you might make the rate a little lower and you have a cleaning fee. And now you forgot the cleaning fee and they're staying at your place for like $50 a night, which, you'll be losing money most likely at that rate. So, um, maybe in the very beginning, have your instant book off. And for Superhost, it's just really about like getting enough bookings. I think it's pretty easy to be Superhost, but they evaluate your account once every quarter. So um, if you just so happen to start your Airbnb at the end of the quarter, you might not be in time for the evaluation. You'll have to wait for the next quarter. Yeah, every 3 months. So the criteria is 4.8 stars or higher. Response rate 90% or higher. It should be 100%. You should be responding to everyone. Um, Criteria is 10 completed stays or 100 nights over 3+ days. Cancellation rate less than 1%. Guys, never, never, never cancel on a guest. If you need, always ask them to cancel, because when you cancel, Airbnb even started penalizing people. So you're gonna have to pay a fee. I think your dates are gonna get blocked off, and it's gonna hurt you on the algorithm. So if you have a special reason that you need to cancel, you can always call Airbnb and say, "Hey, there's a leak, there's a whatever. This guest is weird, or I don't feel safe." That's a different story. But for the most part, you don't want to cancel on your end. Ask the guest to cancel on their end. So I think that's about it for the listing and creating of the listing. Maybe you guys want to make a little checklist just to kind of go through everything and make sure you aren't leaving anything out before you go live. Okay, see you in the next video.